Okay, we're going to start out by creating a cash flow forecast in a spreadsheet. We'll go through that process and we'll actually be cutting in and out because we're going to actually start doing a Helm forecast in a different video. And we'll kind of start that as we go through here, just simply because it's going to take us so much longer to do this spreadsheet forecast from scratch relative to what the Helm forecast looks like. And so keep in mind that this cash flow forecast that I'm creating in a spreadsheet is extremely simplistic. I can't stress that enough. It'll probably take me about 20 minutes to build, and it definitely doesn't have any of the information or granularity that a better cash flow forecast would have, or what Helm's going to have. So what I mean by that is we're going to have accounts receivable timing in this spreadsheet, but it's going to be super high level. It's essentially going to say everything happens today, done, go. Same with the accounts payable. And that's just for the sake of my sanity, or else I'll be here for probably about an hour. What I expect the spreadsheet to take in terms of time is around 20 minutes. But again, it's super simplistic. And I also know that because I've done it already, Helm's going to take around 2 minutes. And so essentially what we're saying here is, and we'll review it again at the end of this video, is that I can spend 2 minutes in Helm and have a much better visual and much better data, and I can do it 10 times faster than I can with a spreadsheet, which takes 10 times longer and has much less information and much less granularity. If I wanted to get that same level of accuracy, granularity, and the better visuals, it would take me the better part of probably a few hours just for this simple data demo or demo data. And again, keep in mind that this demo data is extremely simplistic. I think there's all of about 5 accounts receivables in the system versus you could have clients with hundreds. We literally have customers on Helm that have clients that have hundreds of accounts receivable ongoing at any point in time. Trying to manage that in a spreadsheet is not impossible, but it's going to take you a huge amount of time. Anyways, let's get started on the process. We'll skip on to the Helm video partway through, flip back here at the end, and we'll compare notes. Okay, so now we're going to start walking through setting up a cash flow forecast in Helm. And we'll show how quick and easy this is relative to the spreadsheet forecast, which is ongoing right now. So right now we're going to connect our ledger system to Helm. And so now that we're connecting to the ledger system, what's happening is Helm is looking at bank accounts. It's pulling in all the accounts receivable. It's pulling in all the accounts payable. It's essentially creating a starting point for the forecast. So here we can see our cash balance over time, as well as some very basic transactions. So we've got our bank accounts and credit cards here, our accounts receivable. And what I'm telling the system to do here is calculate how customers pay this company. And for this particular demo company, all these customers pay on demand. And now what we'll be doing is asking the system to do the same thing, but for bills, for payables. So Helm's actually going into the accounting system and calculating how we, the demo company, actually pay all of our accounts payable. And you can see that our graph adjusted here, and that's because it's pushed out accounts payable for us based off past history. So here we can see Power Direct pays in 10 days, Swanson Security pays in 6, and so on. And so Helm's automatically shifted that forward for us. So here we're going to generate rules, and essentially what that is doing is Helm's going into bank accounts, credit cards, as well as profit and loss statements. And it's looking at what happened. And so we pulled out recurring entries like bank fees. We pulled out a recurring entry like light, power, and heating. And we pulled out rent, as well as other items like telephone and internet and salaries and wages. So it's pulled out all recurring entries, and it's actually got the timing for it. So in this case, bank fees happen on the 15th of every single month, and it's set up the forecasting logic for us. We don't have to do that. It's also set up high-level budgets, forward-looking budgets for us. So here we've got advertising of $600, cleaning of $10, and so on and so forth. And so literally in a couple of minutes, we've actually gone through and set up a fairly accurate forecast for cash flow forecasting purposes. And you can again see here our bank balance over time and all of the transactions that make up that forecast. So it's very quick and easy. And so now we'll flip back to the spreadsheet forecast and wait for that to be done. Okay, so we're done our spreadsheet cash flow forecast, and it took us around 20 minutes. We've obviously sped up the time frame for you so you didn't have to bore yourself to death and go through all of that pain. Helm forecast, as we saw, took around 2 minutes, and so there's a huge difference there. But it's not just in terms of that absolute time, because a lot of people will sit there and say, well, but it only took 20 minutes. You're comparing apples to oranges at this point, though, because within Helm, and we'll walk through this in other videos, you've got extremely granular information, but you also have a lot more detail and a lot more analysis happening. So in Helm, we go through each contact. If it's a customer, we'll look at their payment history to the company. So when do they actually pay the company? You'll go through each contact for that in Helm. We'll do the same thing on the payable side, where it goes through all the suppliers and vendors and says, how did this particular company pay its suppliers and vendors? And it saves all of that information and pumps out the timing for accounts receivable and accounts payable for you based off that past history. In our simplistic model here, we'll just scroll down. We've got accounts receivable as one lump happening in the current month. There's literally no analysis being done, especially on an individual item level by contact. If you think about the amount of time that would take, you just simply wouldn't do it. You literally have to go into your accounting system, download the transaction history for that particular contact, do the analysis on it. You can see where we're going here. It wouldn't take just 20 minutes to set up the forecast. It would probably take you 40 to 60 minutes just to do that for this particular demo file. And so, now we're completely exploding the difference in terms of absolute timeframes. And we haven't even gotten to the accounts payable side, which is exactly the same. My big head's just covering it, so we'll go there. But there's the accounts payable. It's, again, overly simplistic assumption. Everything's being paid out in the current period, essentially right now, and there's no delineation between any of the APs. So this model is not considering, but I want to pay these particular bills here and these particular bills here. And so you can see, again, quite quickly how setting up a spreadsheet takes a lot of time, especially if there's accounts receivable, accounts payable. But again, you'll also see that everything is A, on a monthly basis, and B, essentially by account. And so this is fine. Again, it's overly simplistic, but if you know that your rent actually happens on a specific day, it's really beneficial to know that, because within a month, within a period, you can have a lot of fluctuations in your cash flow, and perhaps your cash positive month over month, but within the month, you might not actually be, depending on your inflows and outflows. And so again, for the amount of time that it takes to do that in a spreadsheet, people simply don't. And that's a disservice to the client, because we are not giving them accurate information to give us or give them our advice, and for them to be able to make the decision. And of course, that's the problem that we're talking about here when we say spreadsheets take too much time to set up, is that you're literally living in spreadsheets. It's a common thing that we hear from our customers all the time. And so stop building a spreadsheet, stop maintaining the spreadsheets. Use apps, go straight into your advice and decision-making process, and really help your clients. And so, the theme of this series is essentially around finding the better way. And so spreadsheets are not the better way. There's just too much limitations with them for most people. And apps are really the solution to that. An app like Helm can directly connect, save you all the time of the calculations, and just take you straight to the advice period. which essentially allows you to grow and scale your practice and your cash flow forecasting services much more efficiently.